Tennessee Tech squad that's coming to Thompson Bowling Arena tomorrow?
Yeah, Tennessee Tech, they're a team right now that we're still trying to figure out somewhat because their roster hasn't been complete, most of the season. They played, 4 or 5 games with some, key guys that were missing. So their record is a bit deceiving. I mean, they're a lot better than what the record indicates. Their top 2 players just came back a game or 2 ago, and they're night and day different as a team. They're more explosive. They score better. They're more athletic. So we're expecting those guys to be a lot like, App State in the sense of they're coming in with some confidence. They're going to be aggressive, and we got to guard really good drivers and guys who can score the basketball.
Go to Grant Ramey, then Rob Lewis.
Des, from these first 3 games, have you been surprised by anything, or what have you seen versus what maybe you expected entering those games?
Yeah, first couple of games, certainly this is all unique, with COVID and missing practices and, trying to figure out how to keep your guys, fresh and skilled and making plays. It's been different. Everything has been different. The first game is against Colorado with having no fans. You come out, and you really get a taste of it. It's one thing watching it on TV, but when you come out, it has more of a scrimmage feel to it, which our guys aren't used to. Because the one thing that separates us from most universities is when you're at Thompson Bowling, for any game, the atmosphere is unique. The energy level is exciting. And sometimes when you need that extra burst of energy, our fans always give it to us. So I think trying to adjust to that is as, important as any opponent, is just adjusting to the fact that our fan base isn't going to be there. And we just got to find ways to continue to bring our own energy.
Coach, just what have you liked the best about your team through 3 games, and what's something that you feel like you guys need to improve on after 3 games?
Yeah, you know what? I think we're all learning, something different every day about our guys. Certainly our defensive ability, our ability to guard the ball, our ability to make plays, off the ball. This could be the best defensive team that we've certainly had here at Tennessee, and one of the best maybe in the country, in a long time, if these young guys continue to get better and we can continue to, to improve and do the same thing in the SEC conference when our conference games come. We're just big. We're athletic. We can switch 1 through 5. I think John Fulkerson has gone from a guy that we were worried about a couple of years ago, maybe switching on to a quicker guard, to a guy that can handle his own against, 1 through 5 on the court. So our ball screen defense can shift and do different things. So that's been the biggest surprise is just how quickly we've emerged defensively. And I think the offense is going to come, I think, as we get comfortable, as guys are back to their normal routines of, getting in the gym and getting shots up, you'll start to see our offensive scores really find their niche, find their shots that they should take in our offense, making more plays.
Mike Wilson and Ben McKee.
Yeah, Des, how does an offense change when you've got so many guys who can go create a shot and get themselves a shot? I mean, do you guys put in different sets or opportunities for guys when you add in, Jaden, Keon, and then VJ to the roster?
It changes because your team changes. Even though the majority of our team from last year came back, the reality is every time you start a new season, if you add one more piece, if you don't add one more piece, it's a different team. You're running some different stuff, different sets. The vibe is different. Your league's different. So I think with adding those freshmen, with adding our transfers, our team is different, and we're still trying to figure out, kind of who we are. And what's going to happen is this, and it's happened, for years with Coach Barnes. Coach Barnes is one of the best in the country at helping people figure out their roles, and it truly is, you're going to create your role by how you play in practice. So what's going to happen is our better scorers are going to figure out that they've earned the right to take more shots. And the guys who might not be scoring will realize that they're defenders and rebounders, and they'll get their shots in the offense. And by maybe game 7 or 8 or 9, you really start to get a feel for who our top 3 or 4 offensive players are going to be.
Coach, after that first game or 2, Coach Barnes talked about rebounding and going up against a zone. defense. Working on the zone offense was going to be an area of emphasis. How have you seen the team improve in those two areas over the last week or so as y'all have gotten back to practicing after the shutdown?
Well, one, we really worked on it. Part of it is getting in the gym and working on your transition game and trying to get some easy baskets. As a staff, we talk about the fact that this team could be the best defensive team in the country, and we should be, based on how athletic we are, how deep we are, we should be the most exciting transition team that there is, and get a stop and throw lobs, get a stop and pitch down the court to our wings and feed the post. So I think we're starting to figure that out. I think as our rotations start to kind of get shored up a little bit more, you'll start to see a lot more offense clicking. And again, it's all about role definition. If I don't know if I'm a guy that should be shooting that quick ball ahead three, then there's some gray area. And I think the first couple of games against a high quality opponent like Colorado and Cincinnati, the gray area, when they went zone against us and now the offense, you can't really run your system, that was a little bit of a challenge. And now we're working on zone much, much more in practice, and you're starting to see how explosive our offense can become.
Rob Lewis.
Coach, just how you talked about the team defense earlier, but how impressive have Jaden and Keon been as defenders as freshmen? Because that's usually not, a lot of times kids at that level, kind of judge their success on, how they're doing on offense, but it doesn't seem like those two kids are wired that way.
You know what? They're different. They're different. They're wired. They've always been guys, even in the recruiting process, watching those kids play, we just felt like they were unique in that it wasn't just about offense with them. Like, neither guy wants to be scored on. And that's rare. Most high school players are caught up in getting their numbers and scoring their points. And if they can defend you, make you miss a shot, that's okay. They don't want you to score, and they want to dominate you on the offensive end. So that's what made us want to recruit them. I'm just surprised at how early they picked up our system and become, two of the best guys on our team at guarding the basketball. But, they came in with that ability from day one.
Grant.
Why can this team be a better rebounding team? What gives them, if you guys think they can be a better rebounding team, why is that?
Well, one, we're coaching it as hard as we've coached it in a long time. Our personnel is such, like, our front line isn't the typical front line where we have a 7-footer or 6'10" guy in the paint. John's a bit of an undersized, post player. Eve is kind of a combo forward, kind of a 3-4 playing the post. So we're kind of undersized inside the paint. So now you got to do different things. You got to be tougher and more physical to do your job. So we're coaching rebounding every single day in practice. So if you don't do it, then we can't play as much. And then you add, Springer and you add, Keon Johnson, you add VJ Bailey, who's just a heck of an athlete. Like, VJ might not have the size of Josiah and those guys, but he gets off the ground like a rocket. So you're just adding athletes to the table, and you're talking about the fact that we weren't a good team last year rebounding the basketball, and you put emphasis on it, and guys are going to get better.
Rob.
Coach, what can you say about this team's chemistry? I mean, it seems, you go back to the 2018 team, and that the chemistry was outstanding, but it seems like early in the year, you've already got a lot of that. I mean, you look at the bench, guys rooting for each other. There's not, any bad body language when somebody gets subbed out. Have you been impressed with how, that's kind of come along so quickly?
I've been shocked by it. I told Josiah James last game, not last game, against Cincinnati, late in the game, coach subbed Josiah out, I think, and VJ out, and put in Keon and Jaden. And I know when I was playing in college, there's no way as a starter, and I started for 3 years, there's no way that I could have, gotten, sub out of a big game late in the game and sat there and rooted for my teammate. I just wasn't mature enough. And these guys are incredible. Like, they are locked in as a unit. Like, Josiah was coaching. He literally walked up to my chair, and he's coaching me on how to coach those two guys on helping Santi play against the press late in the game and pressure. So clearly, they're good kids. They're mature. They came here for one reason, and the reason is to, win a lot of games and, make our fan base proud. And they bought into that. Like, we have 5-star guys who don't ever act like five-star guys. Like they act like they're just regular guys that are happy to have a scholarship at Tennessee. Never talk about the NBA. It's all about winning and getting better. And I just hope that we continue to be as lucky in recruiting, because sometimes it's luck. I mean, you talk to a kid every day, and the kid comes here and he's someone different than what you thought you were dealing with. And luckily, these guys have come here and they're better than advertised as people. And that's what's really helped us. It's just our team character.
Mike Wilson and Grant Ramey.
Guys, with 3 games in a 6-day stretch here, how much do you gain in terms of learning about a team's ability to go through a conference schedule in advance? I mean, is this an opportunity for a kind of team that's meshing together to really learn a lot about how it bounces from game to game?
Well, so I think it's a great experience, because what it does, it gets you prepared for postseason play. All these opponents are different. Colorado is different than Cincinnati. Tennessee Tech's different than App State. And when you make the dance and you go game to game, you're playing against a mid-major that might be a driving team and they're small and matchups are different, or you're playing against a Power 5 that's got size. So it makes you have to think on the spot quickly, adapt, adjust, have quick turnarounds in your scouting reports. I told our guys last night, during the Tennessee Tech scout, just sitting in the back of the room watching our team. I said, it reminded me of watching that Grant Williams and Admiral Schofield, that team, when they won the SEC championship, in that, every guy was locked in. Like I'm watching to see, is there someone kind of zoning off or dozing off and, tired or talking on the side? Every guy was locked in to every word that Coach Barnes was talking about in reference to our offense. And then when I got a chance to speak about Tennessee Tech, every guy was locked in. And that's rare when you're talking with a team, coming off of, was a 38-point win or whatever it was against App State, to stay focused in such a short turnaround.
Speaking of the postseason, I know it's obviously months off, but if you're building a team, would you want to build a team like this for the postseason that can do what it can do defensively and has the number of guys in the backcourt, options in the backcourt that it has?
I do think to win a national championship, we get to a Final Four, we got to be elite defensively, and our defense has to create offense for our program. Defend, rebound, run, execute. It's really, really big for us. So I hope that we don't max out too early and look too good defensively too early, and then run into a couple of juggernaut offensive teams that score a lot and our guys lose confidence. What you want to have is a steady climb, a steady increase in how your teams are doing. So our offense sputtered the first couple of games, and we're getting better. Our defense, I still think there's a different level our defense can get to. Even if teams score more points and our numbers don't indicate that we're dominating teams as much on defense, I think our defense can get better in the sense of we can guard the ball better 1 through 5. We can dominate the glass better. Our off-ball defense, our guarding the drive and not fouling. There's still areas that we have to improve in. And in the SEC, there's so many teams that just hurt you with different things. We've got to be able to adjust and play against teams like Kentucky who have size, teams like Auburn and may have smaller guards who are quick and athletic, and make those adjustments within 24 to 48 hours.
Gustavo and then Ben McKee.
Coach, you've been in the program since 2015. How much the impact of Coach Barnes has been in the Tennessee basketball program since he arrived, since you've been here before he arrived and now working with him?
How much of an impact? Listen.
Yeah.
There's no head coach in the country that makes a bigger impact than Coach Barnes. He's pretty clear on what he wants. There's no one that's more consistent in what he wants and how he wants it than Coach, and demanding. So it's really easy to understand your role as an assistant coach, and as a player, it's pretty black and white. And you know what? It works. It works. So, when we talk about our buy-in and our chemistry, I think it all starts from the top. And when your head coach is as consistent as any head coach in the country, it makes it easier for our guys and our staff to be the same way.
Coach, I'm curious about these traits that you continue to talk about the unselfishness and the guys being locked in and your 5-star players not talking about the NBA. Is that something that you all specifically tried to identify in recruiting, or did you all, for a lack of a better word, maybe luck into it? Because it seems very rare to have a team this big full of unselfish guys?
Well, I mean, I'm answering these questions to be as honest as possible. No. Like in recruiting, it is hard to get involved with great players. It just is. There's so many great programs and great coaches out there that what I try to do is really do a good job in our area. You know, so from 4.5 hours from campus, you know, driving from our campus is be involved in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, and Tennessee, and Toronto. So you know, I can't say that we can just pick and choose guys at that level. We do pick and choose character. So I will say, you know, if I look at a kid and he's a 5-star, 4-star good player, and I just feel like he's not going to, you know, fit our community, our campus, and our staff, then I'm not going to recruit him, no matter how good he is. You know, no matter how close. If he's in our backyard and doesn't fit, not going to recruit him because I found this out. The reason why those guys who graduated and left here, the Grant Williams and Schofields and Kyles and Bones and Bowdens and Tays, all those guys were really good, is because they fit. And even though on paper, it's hard to write down a description of what's going to fit every time, those guys, they fit because they bought in. And every guy bought in differently. Some guys came in, bought in. Some guys, it took some time to buy in. So we've gotten lucky in a sense, but now we're looking for a certain type of kid, knowing that we just can't, it's hard to handpick it, you know. So a little bit of it is luck. A lot of it is just research. You know, try to recruit a lot of people and get to know them, and then gradually shrink your list to a group of guys that you feel like are going to be able to get better. Like so much of what we do is about improving and getting better. As a coach, I feel like I've grown as a basketball coach in the last 6 years of being with Coach Barnes. I mean, I've coached for 27 years. I think I've learned more in 6 years being with Coach Barnes than any program I've been at combined in my career. So imagine our players who come in a lot of times from high school, you know, learning this, you know, for the first time at this level, the level of growth. And you have to accept that. You have to want to get in the gym and work and watch film and video to improve. And that's what we've been lucky, is that our best players have been our most coachable. So now when you're the best guy and you're buying into what's going on, the 13th guy and the 12th guy had better do it because the first, second, third, and fourth guys are bought in.
All right, we'll take one last call for questions for Des. All right, Des, I really appreciate it. 18 high quality minutes. Everybody, appreciate you guys logging on, and I'll see some of you tomorrow night for Tennessee Tech.
Thanks,
For
Tom.
having me.
Thanks, Des.
Appreciate it. All right, guys.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.